Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with a daily technical update. It is Friday the 13th and hope it won't be that scary, but there has been some really strong moves overnight in some markets that we are going to look at. A little bit in the equities market and a lot in the some of the commodities markets, especially oil. But first I have to say this is an educational video only. There's no recommendation or advice intended whatsoever. This is purely to demonstrate how I try to read the market, just quick and dirty, very quickly, going over various of instruments. And I'm not going to talk about a single stock today. There are lots to go on in the overall markets, in the futures. And here we have the Nasdaq 100, the cash market or index yesterday that closed a little bit higher. But what is actually interesting is what happened afterwards and happened overnight. And this early morning, we are down 1.5%. There has been a strike from the Israel government or military on Iran. And of course, market gets nervous when things like that happen. However, we have talked about for a little while that there is divergence on the RSI. You can see RSI has been declining where market moved higher. So we were a little bit stressed and it has looked toppy. So trend exhaustion. So a correction was in the cards. And we have a little bit of support here at 21,413, where we almost touched this early morning and we could break lower. However, we have the moving averages, the 55 coming up, 100 and 200 coming up here. So there is some strong support in the area around 20,500, 20,320. So I think the downside is fairly limited at the moment, at least. So let's see, the S&P 500 future and the CFD also lower, testing minor support here, 5,920. There we could correct down to around 5,800. And the Dow Jones, while dipping to the 100 moving average, it wasn't that strong anyway, but also here divergence. You can see that the RSI values are declining where the market had moved higher. Also setback in the Asian session this morning, and about 1% here on Seng, testing the 38.2 retracement of this little bullish move there. Also here we had a bit of a divergence indicating trend exhaustion. There was a possibility, as we talked about, it could move up to test the previous peak here from March, but it didn't. And now we are setting back a little bit. However, we have 200 moving average coming up, we have 100 and also 55. So the downside is fairly limited, possibly 23,000. We could see it dropping to that. But let's see, if it takes out the peak here from a few days ago at 24,440, well then at the 25,000 is likely to be tested. And Nikkei also lower, dipped it below the rising trend line here, but we have some support here at 37,280 and also down here in the region around 36,570. I think we will be a little bit range bound here for a while going into next week, but let's see what happens over the weekend of geopolitical things. In Europe, the EuroStoxx50 was lower yesterday, but still in this range here. However, what's going on here, pre-market almost 2% down, so it's actually trading below the support at 5,313. I think we could dip to 5,209 as support. It is not the strongest support, so we could see it dipping lower, especially if RSI closes below 40 threshold. That will be key throughout the day and towards the end of the week and what will happen. On the DAX index, closed just a few cents above the 23,740, but here pre-market we are lower and testing the support around 23,335. So that will be key levels to watch out for next. And we can say maybe there's a little bit of support here around 22,850, where we also have the 55 moving average coming up and the and the 100 coming up, giving some support in this area here. Not the strongest one, but nevertheless, it will be key. Why will the RSI close below or above a 40 threshold? But we are in for a correction, and no question about that. It's just about how deep it will be. Can we bounce and stay above 23,335? That will be key, I think, here throughout the day. Euro dollar spiked higher yesterday, setting back a little bit today, but we are in a bullish trend now. There's actually divergence. You see this RSI value here is lower than here. Market is now higher than here. However, we are in a bullish trend, and I think that can continue towards 117, 117.65 possibly, which is a 138.2 projection of this correction here. So I think the cat is out of the box, so there is potential higher. And if we're looking at the weekly chart, we can also see, well, there's potential up to around 117, the resistance area 117, 118 in this bullish move. Sterling dollar, or cable as it's being called, dropping back into this range here, actually closed above. We are in a bullish trend. However, we can see value is declining, and it's easier to see if we are drawing a trend line here on the there we are. We can also draw it all the way back to there. It's still the same picture. You can see declining tops where market moved higher, so a little bit stretched there, and maybe this was just a false break, and we are back in the range, and we can adjust a little bit, say 136.20 is what's needed now. So I will stay a little bit cautious on sterling yen. Sterling dollar. On euro sterling spiked up to the 50%. It's a bit unusual that it's the 50%, but that's why I leave it on here. Of the entire downtrend here, spiked up spot on to the 85.47. I think it hit spot, yeah, it did. And setting back a bit, and now it's on the move again. If it takes out the peak from yesterday, well, then expect to move up to just around 86 and the 61.8 retracement. Positive sentiment on the RSI, indicating we are likely to see higher levels in the coming days and weeks. Yen was sold off. Dollar yen was sold off yesterday, but has bounced somewhat here this morning. Still in a bearish trend, but the key support here at 142 that should be observed, and 146.15 to the upside. I still think it was lower, but let's see. It is 142 that is a key. Euro sterling higher yesterday, sitting back now. It reached just 138.2 at 166.80, and then sat back, and now testing the support area here around 165. Still bullish trend, no divergence, indicating likely higher levels. So I think we'll see it picking up maybe later today or Monday. Aussie yen continue to decline after being rejected here at the 786 retracement, and could test the support here at 91.65. If it takes out that, well, then we are looking at 90.60. It needs to take out the peak there, and the 786 retracement at 94.80 for a push up to around 96. Sterling yen, well, as we talked about yesterday, we're likely to test the rising trend line here. If it breaks below, well, then we have some support here on 192.65 and 191.65, where we have the 55 and the 100 moving average giving some support. But we also have the 200 here, so I don't think we will go lower than 192.65. Still needs to take out the peaks here, and the strong resistance here at 96.45 for an uptrend towards 199.200. Aussie dollar, well, got hit here also, so couldn't get above 65.50 resistance, and likely to test the rising trend line, maybe even dipping lower to the 200 moving average. That is still declining, but we have the 55 coming up, we have the 100 coming up. So I think the downside is fairly limited, but it is not unlikely if it breaks below 200 moving average that we see it down to around 63.50 area here, where we have some support in this area here, and then a bounce. If it takes out 65.50, well, then we're looking at 60 plus, 66.50, 67. Dollar Canada, and let's just resize it there. Dollar Canada spiked lower yesterday, closed lower, trying to get back above 136.50. Let's see if it can do that. But on the weekly, it's actually quite interesting to see what it does. It is dancing around this rising trend line and the support here, so that is key at the moment. If it's being rejected now, trying to get back above here, then we could see a sell-off leading to 135, 134 plus level. Sterling Canada, at first take it bounced from the 61.8. If it takes out that low there from the other day at 184.15, then I think we will see it at 183.50, where we have the 100 moving average coming out. Could spike down to the 182.60 support area here. Euro Swiss rejected, didn't get up to test the upper part of cloud, didn't test the resistance up there, and RSI also rejected at 60. So still in this range here, dipped early morning, almost down to the support area here, just around 93. So still caught in this range bound here, and it really needs to take out the either side here for direction. So still very indecisive despite a lot of volatility. Dollar Swiss spiked lower this morning after a lower close yesterday, almost to the very few cents from the 80s, but 40 lows here back from April. Now we have some, no, we still don't have divergence building up, so still in a bearish trend. Could take out 80s, but 40 there. We are also in a bearish trend here on the weekly, so it will take something to really change that or reverse that picture. However, if it doesn't take out 80s but 40, then we can see a bounce back to around 82. But for now, we are in a bearish trend. Dollar index testing the previous lows here this morning at 97.68. Dipped a little bit below, and there could be room down to a 96.94. And let's see if we zoom out a little bit. If it takes out that support area, well, then suddenly we are looking at 95 level. So that could occur in the coming days and weeks. We are in a bearish trend weekly and a daily chart. Moving on to gold, that took out its little peak here from earlier this month at 34.04 and has continued the uptrend, higher highs, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, and now higher high. RSI testing 60 threshold currently above, and if it stays above towards the end of the session today, it will support a push towards 3,500 previous peak here. And it could also occur today, a fairly strong trend despite some RSI divergence. On the silver setting back a little bit, didn't get all the way up to $37, could set back to 35, but we are in a bullish trend, positive sentiment, no divergence, indicating we are likely to see higher levels on silver. So maybe this is just a little bit noise on the way up. And platinum starts to look a little bit choppy short term, a little bit stressed, as we can see here. First of all, RSI up to 87.76, which is really stretched, very overboard. And remember, RSI can only go to 100, and I've never seen that. So at one point it might have been above a 90, but now it's setting back, and we could see a correction of this entire move up here, maybe down to a 12.07, which is the 38.2 retracement. However, still positive sentiment. There's no divergence despite showing that it's a little bit long in its tooth. We could see it pushing higher, and if we're looking at the weekly, well, there's still a little bit of way up to 1340, which was the peak here, almost 1340 back here in 21, but expect a correction. And with the volatility and the strong move you've seen, the setback could be quite big. On copper, on the other hand, can't make up its mind now, sliding back here. It is in a slightly uptrend, higher high, higher low, higher high, but it's not that convincing, to be honest. Yes, we do have a little bit maybe positive sentiment on the RSI, but I think we will see it testing 470, which is the upper part of cloud, and the 100 moving average, and then I think we will bounce, maybe dipping to the 465 minor support here. On the energy side, there has really been action overnight. It started here a few days ago, but this tonight it has spiked massively higher, much higher than expected. We did talk about these levels here yesterday, but we didn't talk about it could spike all the way up here. And that has, of course, something to do with Israel's attack on Iran, the oil-producing Iran. So, what will it mean to the oil market in general? We have then receded quite a bit, and is now trading around this resistance support area here, 72.28. Positive sentiment on the RSI, and the crude oil can move higher if really some. It's unpredictable at the moment, so it's just about if you're trading, keep your stops tight. And right with the trend, you can see it spiked almost up to the 78.46. And next move could be up to and maybe above 80s, but 70. And you say, well, does technical analysis work when we have these markets here? Well, you can only what you can, because it's panic things. It's a panic market, and of course we can only look at the levels and see where they could stop, and we could see a setback. We can see 38.2 retracement is down here at 70s but 78, so just below a little bit, could recede a little bit more, and then I think we'll bounce. Just look out for the levels really. RSI on the weekly still below 60 threshold. On the daily it is above, and indicating like the high levels, but I think we will setting back a little bit, and then maybe we could have another go. Brent crude oil, what did it do? It spiked up to the 200 projection of this correction here, almost there at least. Also now setting back here. And what we can also do here, I will actually remove this one, and then I will add a Fibonacci from this uptrend here. Let's see, right there. We almost, we retrace somewhat, but we could retrace even more to 72.40, which is the 38.2 retracement, and around the 200 moving average. Then I think we will see it bouncing back again, and continue climbing. You can see it tested the falling trend line, this long-term upper falling trend line there, and almost to the 200 weekly moving average. European gas also opened high this morning, just above the 38, I think, just above 38, yeah, but now setting back here, setting off, and I think it will continue to slide lower here throughout the day. If it takes out the peak from today at 38.23, well, then expect to move up to around 40. The US nat gas hasn't moved an inch, so let's just move on to next instrument. And the US 10-year on the yields, US 10-year Treasury yield testing support here at 431, which is a 61.8 retracement of this uptrend here. I think it could bounce, but again, we have the 200 moving average coming down here. I wouldn't be surprised if it dips down to test that, but I think we will close above at the 430 level, and could bounce the next few days. Still positive sentiment on the RSI. However, if we do close below 430 and the RSI closes below 40 threshold, well, then there could be a push down to the 786 retracement at 423. The 2-year yields is just boring, just in this range here still, so between 403 and 338. So not much to say there really. Let's see what's going on with the European yields. We have the EU yields here early morning, testing the 243 support down here, strong support, dipping a little bit below. If it does close below today, well, then suddenly we are looking at 230 level here where we have some support, but for now it's testing this one. And the 10-year on the UK 10-year also lower, could dip to the 440 in this bearish move here. Negative RSI indicates that will it happen today? Probably not, but let's see. It's actually quite interesting with all the fiscal issues they have going on in the UK at the moment. And finally on Bitcoin, sold off, actually formed a kind of a top and reversal pattern here, but strong support down here at 100,300. Let's see, 400,000, yeah, 100,000 and 300 area. So I think we will stay in this range here. I still believe eventually we will push higher towards 120,000, but it's not now. But I was convinced of that because we closed above 786 retracement, but I also said I want confirmation above 112, then we're looking at 120. Ethereum also set back, support here at 2300. All right, that's all for today and this week. Have a nice weekend and talk to you again Monday.